Welcome to the How to Find and Keep a Gay Man podcast. I'm Matt Bays, your host, with Matt Heinker, your co-host. And we're here to provide bitchy wisdom for the gay man looking for love. There are a lot of gay men out there looking for a meaningful love experience, and we are here to help. You can follow How to Find and Keep a Gay Man on Instagram and TikTok, where you'll find all sorts of bitchy wisdom about what it's going to take to find and keep a gay man. Welcome. We're glad you're here. You're like, my titties are too big for that shirt. And I say, are they?
My everything is too big for that shirt, but
This is fine.
I just got back from the barber shop. I got that Germac bounce back, beautiful hair.
You got
for
coiffed and puffed and dried and accentuated your cheekbones, faded.
I'm seriously my barber's therapist, for real. She's spilling some tea. Her boyfriend of a year broke up with her via text. Come on. These heteros out here. Let's get a clue. Hate to game, not to play. Her boyfriend broke up with her, and now his brother is hollering at her. And she's dumb enough to give his brother a shot. I'm like, honey, you're inviting chaos into your life.
Maybe he's the nice one.
She says that he's much sexier. I was like, honey, that is not a way to live in peace, not pieces.
Yes, exactly.
Do your best.
Good luck with that.
She's going to start listening, actually. So
This is a family tree she might not want to be a part of.
how was your week, darling? Have you recovered
week-
from our trip?
Oh my God. We need to talk about that for a second. Yes, we went
should.
to Chicago last Saturday for a bachelor party. I had so much fun.
We had a blast. It was crazy.
I'm going to tell you my favorite part of that whole evening, and you don't even know about it.
Okay, tell me.
Well, in line with our theme of finding and keeping a gay man, I, when I wasn't sure which shirt I was going to wear, was headed up to you all's hotel room. I get up to your door. I hear giggling and laughing and chit-chatting and then more laughing. I just stood out there for like 2 minutes and listened. So much laughter, so much connection and communication going on while you boys are getting ready. And I stood outside and I was grateful, thinking, this is what it's supposed to be.
It's what it's supposed to be.
It is.
Absolutely.
It
Yes.
is. And you guys have it. And I could not be more proud that I made all of this happen. Actually, I don't know who made it happen, but I'm taking.
Oh, whatever we are doing, doesn't matter what, we're having a good time. It's a good pair.
So anyway,
Alrighty.
yes. And last week's episode, I will say this, if you haven't heard it, you need to go back and listen to it because we asked all kinds of gay questions about relationships and had a therapist on, Alicia Bridgeland, a clinical psychologist. What did she do to us? Like there was connective tissue to a lot of our opinions and our experience from being in the gay community and relationships, but she did something else for us.
She validated pretty much everything that we've been saying to our listeners by giving us the science behind why what we're saying works or is a good path. We are wired for love, ultimately, not sex, not whatever else, for love, meaningful connection.
Intimacy.
In that intimacy, exactly. And she gave us the science behind how we're biologically wired that way. That's what we actually want.
Yeah. I want to mention something because we did get a message from somebody who listened to the podcast and said there was a spot where Alicia talked about how LGBT, all of the letters, has become somewhat trendy. And he mentioned that may have had a feel of some anti-LGBT rhetoric to it.
Yeah.
And I'm just going to tell you today, we will never, ever bring somebody on this podcast that makes this not a safe space.
Absolutely.
Ever.
Yes. And I've talked to some people this week that, because after we got that comment that came in, and they said that very conservative groups will say that experimentation or being LGBTQ plus is trendy, and they use it kind of against our community. So I think that's maybe where that was coming from. But again, not our intent.
It's a good point to make, and we don't need to belabor this point. Other than to say the people that we bring on this program will always be fully supportive and invested in LGBTQ plus community, period. We'll never let this not be a safe space for us gabies.
Absolutely.
Let the faggotry begin. Today, we are talking about the do's and don'ts of dating.
There's so much to unpack.
There is. Oh. And I'm sure that our listeners could add plenty to this. But we're going to do our best to represent.
Yes. And we are talking about dating, not Grindr situationships, not casual bone buddies, not FWBs. We're talking about dating for real.
Casual bone buddies? How long have you had that in your back pocket? Bullshit.
She's a linguist. It just came to me.
Oh my God. She found that, wrote it down in her phone and was like, episode 10.
Pull it out. No, absolutely. We're talking about actual dating with the intent of being in relationship. That's the first part.
Yes. So get us started, Matt.
Yeah. I mean, I think in my mind, maybe how we approach this is leading up to the date, during the date, and then maybe after. That's how we structure it in my mind, I think. And I read a few things getting ready for this as well, like I always do. Found some pretty funny things, but I'm going to share a few, I guess, reoccurring themes. So before we even get to the date or you get into the whole situation, I think we need to tell our listeners it can be hard, especially gay dating. It's its own special brand of difficult. Mm-hmm. So I think before we even approach it, we have to focus on enjoying ourselves. You have to have a sense of humor. Try to have fun. Above all, I think that's a really good mindset to have. And then as we're approaching dating, we talked about this in the dating pro tips on the apps episode. Be aware, first of all, the reputation of the app that you're using, that you're finding people on. I think the app reputation is important to mention, but
the app reputation, yes, is important because something like Grindr, you have to really be honest about that. That app is specifically designed for your naughty side.
Well, your naughty side, exactly. That's not going to lead you down the path that we're trying to go down.
Yeah.
And I also think a really important thing to do as well as we're approaching dating is to just go into it being open to all types. So gay men in particular, we're so bitchy about what we specifically are looking for or what kind of boys we like. I talked in the past that I thought my type was boys that looked like me, and I ended up with somebody that wasn't my type, but I'm great with. So there's a myth about types. No two people are alike. Be open to possibility. And then conversely, go into it knowing that you're not going to be everybody's cup of tea either. I think that you've got to be really, really secure in who you are. You can be the juiciest, ripest, plumpest, most beautiful and delicious peach in the whole world, and you'll still run into people who don't like peaches. Okay. So focus on making yourself the best peach you can be. At worst, you'll be delicious. At best, you'll run into a boy who loves peaches. So rejection is not as personal as it feels. Connection is really about chemistry and compatibility rather than someone endorsing who you are. So be confident in who you are. Be the best peach you can be and be proud.
I'm enjoying this fruit metaphor.
Be open to all types. Don't be offended when you're not someone else's cup of tea. I think that one of the things you have to be really just mindful of is you never know who you're going to connect with. You never know what your chemistry is going to be like with the right person. There was one boy that I dated for a while that was gorgeous to look at. He was beautiful. And the first time we kissed, it was like wooden. Like we didn't have chemistry for whatever reason. I was very attracted to him when I saw him, but us physically together, the chemistry wasn't there for whatever reason. It was kind of shocking. So I think that your mix with the right person is going to surprise you.
Well, sometimes chemistry may not happen the first time. It might happen the third time.
Okay.
I've noticed that before.
I've heard stories of that. Like,
what?
I know a story about that.
You do?
From you
or for me?
From you.
What?
It was like, once, twice, three times a lady for you with that one boy.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yes.
Wasn't it the third time?
Yes, it was. And the third time I wanted to take off all my clothes. Yes, it can change. It can change. Chemistry is a funny little creature.
It really is. But before you even get into the date, best practice, quick FaceTime call. Get your eyes on the person, get their vibe. You can spend so much time and energy on an actual date. And sometimes you'll go on an actual date with somebody and you can tell in the first 5 minutes you're not interested for whatever reason. It's good to FaceTime before you meet in person, just get a feel for them.
It's sort of preferential on that because some people might like the surprise of just showing up and meeting them.
Yeah.
I did not personally enjoy that. So I was very much either send me a video or let's get on FaceTime. And that really eliminated a lot of wasted time. Because I could kind of tell, no or yes. I got on a FaceTime with a boy I thought was so cute. I mean, so cute. He was a nurse. And I was like, God, look at him. He's just beautiful. And we got on FaceTime. And when the screen came up, he was opening mail and being like super like cutesy weird, like opening mail. And like looking over and making these like eyes, but not saying a word, just opening the mail and then like pulling it out, glancing at it, setting it down. And I was like eating popcorn watching this show, right? Immediately I knew. And then I was like, how do I get off this phone call? Don't be weird. Don't be weird.
Don't be opening your mail.
Opening your mail and not saying anything and being like shoulder and looking at it. And
he was like, oh, you over there. Oh my.
It was the strangest thing. And I was like, I felt like I was talking to a 13-year-old.
Well, didn't you have a FaceTime with one gentleman that was wearing like a fur robe and he was sitting in a kiddie pool or some nonsense? I mean,
in his pictures, he looked like a sort of like Cuban George Clooney.
Oh dear. Yes,
gorgeous, gorgeous. Yes. But no, ma'am, because when he came up, he had one of those long cigarettes with a cigarette holder, like extender thing.
Like Jessica Rabbit.
Yes, honey. Yes, exactly like Jessica Rabbit, like an old time Maven movie, and had on a robe, was sitting in his garage in a lawn chair. I'm not kidding. The way I knew it was a garage, because I kept thinking, what is that in the background? Is there was a big blue kiddie pool on a hook in the background. And I said, is that a kiddie pool? And he was like, yes, this is my roommate's apartment. And he doesn't like me to smoke in the house. I'm like,
oh my God.
I don't like you to smoke anywhere with that damn cigarette. He was very like super overly familiar and going straight for it. So what are you, a top or a bottom? I was like,
no.
Oh, that's exactly where he started. And finally I was like, all right, I need to go. Because I was supposed to go over there to watch a movie. Thank God I asked the question, can we have a FaceTime first?
Exactly.
Because that's what I would have been going over there to. Leopard print robe with a fur collar, that cigarette. No. This was not Cuban George Clooney.
So that's why we FaceTime first. Protect yourself. Protect your time.
Yeah.
Also, don't plan the date super far ahead. You can lose excitement and momentum. I think you need to book the date within a few days, a week max.
Yeah.
And then book the second one within a few days, a week max, if possible. I see all these boys out here that don't get any momentum. They don't move forward because they're not putting effort into the process of getting to know somebody. So
if you've been talking to somebody, get that date on the books.
Exactly, honey. And like in the next few days,
even if
not
it's
next
just
month.
Coffee, right?
Yes.
In the next few days, everybody in the next 72 hours, unless they're out of town or in another city, has the opportunity to FaceTime or whatever, because we know your ass has been on TikTok for 3 hours. You've got time to meet somebody for coffee. And if they don't, you know what you're in for.
Exactly.
Already. So just let it go.
If they don't, they're not that interested, or their life is not in equilibrium to be ready to date. So just be aware of that. Okay.
Yeah. Yep.
Before we get to the date as well, do not follow, friend, or otherwise engage with them on social media. That makes you look thirsty. That makes you look pressed. It's too much.
Matt, I would have never thought of that. Because my ass is going to be digging all over their social media.
Now, listen, you can Google and all that kind of stuff, but don't be following them or liking their Instagram pages. No.
Oh, yeah.
It's too much. It makes you look way too thirsty. And I don't text quick because I ain't thirsty, as the song goes. You know what I'm saying? Be cool, calm, and collected before you get there. You had a particular note or two on prepping for a date around hygiene. Would you like to take it away?
Yes, scrub your ass clean. The end. Take a shower, clean your ears, brush your teeth, floss, get ready, be pretty. I mean, this is a date. I don't want you showing up. I mean, it's one thing if you squeeze something in the middle of the day and you came from the gym. I sort of get that. But if we're meeting for dinner, and even if you come from the gym, be your best self. You need to show up in some Lululemon, looking, not really, Lululemon, but I can't have you coming in,
No. One of your suitors smelled like death.
Honey.
I don't know what that was about. He was a beautiful boy. That's crazy.
I cannot. I cannot even. I just can't. I don't think I can tell that story.
Oh, don't tell the story. But you also just said Lululemon. I'm kind of listen, do what you want. Look snappy. I don't want to see my young man in athleisure on a dinner date. I want you to put in more, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Put in some effort, wear something snappy.
If you're meeting him for coffee in the middle of the day, we don't have to expect you coming in red carpet ready,
For sure. Yes.
Right. But if you're meeting somebody for dinner, or really anytime, this is a first impression.
Yes.
I need you to come in looking nice, looking like you care, and looking like you actually took time to prepare yourself for this because it was important to you. Because it absolutely is important to me.
Absolutely. That was my other point. When you come dressed and smelling good, that shows that this meant something to you. You prepared for it. And I think that's a really good message to send at that first impression. So we're some snappy boys. I cannot believe how many of our gays just don't dress. I'm like, just do a little something. Anyway.
Well, okay. But on this, somebody might be like, well, I'm not the stereotyped fashion sensible gay. Okay, but you can still be clean and look nice, and your clothes can look like you didn't pull them out of the hamper.
Absolutely. You still own an iron, honey. Yeah, I'm with you.
And you can still shave, or, you know what I mean? Clean it up.
All those things.
Yeah.
It's amazing that we have to talk about this, but it's necessary.
I have been out there, and yes, it is necessary. One of the most beautiful people I ever encountered, I am telling you, I could not believe my nostrils.
They were scared.
I could not believe it.
Yeah, that's a whole lot.
Wash. Stack of wash rags wherever you need them. Scrub dub.
But as you're preparing for this date and looking nice, I still think that you always need to go on them with low expectations. Go in there excited to get to know someone new, not trying to make a relationship happen.
Yeah.
Don't expect it to be this amazing connection, because the reality is a lot of the dates are going to be duds. That's part of it. And then you're pleasantly surprised when one is not.
Yeah.
I think that keeping your head right is having low expectations.
I really like this idea. And what I like about it is the possibility of gaining a friend.
For sure.
Which I did gain a couple of friends. There was one guy who was my age exactly, very good looking, established, had a great job, but there was no like romantic chemistry.
Yeah.
But he was interesting. And listen, I've told different friends about him several times because I'm like, he's going to make somebody a great partner.
Yeah.
I like the idea of going in and thinking of, I might possibly get a friend out of this too.
Yeah. This is hard. This process can be hard and it can last a long time. Who knows when you're going to meet your guy? So you want to keep yourself as emotionally level as possible so you can enjoy it. And that's part of it. And I also think that when you get there, be yourself from the beginning. Be completely yourself. Don't be a representative of yourself. Don't get too nervous. Just enjoy it. And ask genuine questions that show care and interest. One thing that when I was dating a lot that really struck me was how bad at conversation a lot of people are.
Yeah.
Ask questions. What do you want to know about me? And vice versa. Don't talk about yourself for more than 7 minutes at a time. Like engage with the other person. Show them that you're interested in getting to know them. And put down your damn phone and kill the notifications. Mother can wait. This conversation is important.
That's very important. I don't want you on your phone the whole time. Some people lay theirs on the table. I always thought if I laid mine face down on the table that meant that they know that I'm not interested in it. But somebody told me, keep it in your pocket, keep it out of sight.
I kind of like that.
So I like the keeping out of sight. And if you just put it on do not disturb, you're not going to get any of those buzzes in your pocket. Be present.
I love that. that. Be present. Be present.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
One thing I want to circle back to too, as you're having this conversation, another thing that shocked me, you mentioned it with this guy you FaceTime with. Are you a top or a bottom right out of the gate? Listen, if they are going straight to sex the first 60 seconds that you're meeting, is that somebody who really is looking for the same thing that you are? You know, obviously sex is important. As gay people, we're obsessed with sex. Like, of course it's going to come up.
Yeah.
But that is not the meat of the first conversation. And it's definitely not what you lead with, you know, because you will want to show your heart, not your part.
That's right. You lead with cocky Mick One Eye, and you have told them all they need to know about you.
Absolutely.
We're looking for something else.
Mm-hmm. I also think you need to pay attention to someone who's overly negative in that first meeting. You know, if they like to talk about all the things that they hate or that they're mad about, or I think that's kind of a red flag that they're maybe not in great space as well. You know, pay attention to what they value and talk about.
And do not get into that former relationship at length.
Mm-mm.
I was bad about this because I'm like an open book and I'm a storyteller. I did it before where I started talking about it and then talk about that love. And you think what they're hearing is that you're capable of love, but what they're really hearing is, I had such a great love story with this person. Nobody needs all that.
No.
You can gloss over an old relationship, but do not get into that relationship and all it was and what happened. Nobody wants to hear that on the first date, even if they're acting like they do.
I had a friend who just went on a first date, and the guy literally, he was actually divorced. He talked about his ex-husband for 45 minutes without taking a breath. Red flag, you know, back to therapy for sure.
So if they're sitting across the table from you going, then you know that's your last date.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Who pays?
I'll tell you who pays. We're going Dutch treat, as my mother used to say.
Dutch treat.
That's probably some sort of racial slur about the Dutch being cheap. I don't know. That's what they called it back in the day. Listen, there was this young boy, and he was beautiful. And you know, I had my thing for younger boys. And I showed up, and I should have known when I saw through the window, he showed up riding a bike.
Oh, Lord. You were getting him fresh off the school bus back in the day. Lord, yeah. I was praying for you.
I think it had one of those horns on it too. And a basket. It was the worst. I'm going to tell you right now, this boy did not have a question in him to save his life. I was not only required to host this dinner, ask all the questions and keep the conversation going, but when it came time to pay, he didn't even pretend to look for his wallet. He was just like waiting. And when that waiter said, "Are you together?" I said, "No."
You bitch.
I just said no. Because I was like, homeboy, you think you're getting a free meal out of this? We're splitting this.
For sure. Did he find some coins in basket of his bag?
He had to go back outside to get his little change first. He left it in his basket. I'm telling you, that was one of the biggest turnoffs to me. Honestly, I think he was just looking for a hookup. It was probably maybe 10 days later, I got an Instagram message from him that said, "Do you want to try again?" And I was like, "Try what?" No, I'm not interested. So you're right. You've got to be able to ask questions. And if you're not good with that on the spot, have a few. It's not hard to ask them what they do and then really listen. Ask questions. Have some at the ready.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I would always ask, you've got a day off and you can do all your favorite things. What would you do? Have a few in your wheelhouse that are designed to draw them out a little bit. You know what I'm saying?
Yes. Yeah. Not yes, no questions, but open-ended questions.
Yeah.
Tell me about fill in the blank.
Mm-hmm.
You know, that's a good way to do it. And then always plan to split. Plan for it.
The first one.
Yeah. And you can kind of get a sense if this person really wants to pay. I mean, when Chris and I met, it was on my birthday, but he'd driven from Cincinnati. So I wasn't letting him pay for that. I paid for it. He just graciously accepted. It felt natural, you know, but this other boy that was just sitting there staring at the waiter like he's going to get it. No.
No. Yeah. And if your daddy's like we are, you gotta watch out for that kind of stuff.
You do because it's not about even paying at that point. It's about what kind of standard are we setting here? I don't want somebody who wants me for my bank account.
Post show, honey.
You know?
And then second date, if you like them good enough to go out again, get that on the books too within the next week. Don't wait a long time. Keep it moving if you're interested, you know?
Yeah. I found some text messages to send that I thought was really interesting. 3 text messages after a date, and it said to make him fall in love with you. Well, that's not our goal, but I did like these. You ready?
I'm ready. Please.
This is one. Now, this one I was a little bit like, what? But this is the first one he talked about. Hey, give me a call tonight. I'll be home by 8 p.m. And he said, this is sort of a test to see if they're willing to engage in something longer than a text message, more interaction. And if you truly want to get to know me, are you willing to make an investment?
I like that, actually.
I kind of did too.
Because there's a lot of people that will just text. Listen, if we're going to actually date or like get to know each other, you can talk to me on the phone. Let's be old fashioned.
Right. You know? And how about this text message? And this is probably where you want to start. I'd love to see you again. Simple.
That's sweet.
I'd love to see you again because you're opening yourself to connection. Mm-hmm. You're giving him the opportunity to get to know you and you him. Mm-hmm. And also giving him the opportunity to not take it further. So if he's not your guy, you've saved yourself a lot of time if he gets to respond with, it wasn't a connection for me. And as you said, don't take it personally.
Because ultimately, we're trying to find someone that shows interest in you. And it's amazing to me how many people that we've talked to are friends that over and over again go after guys that play games with them. I mean, I was talking to a guy the other day and he was like, so-and-so always says he wants to hang out, but he never makes plans. I'm like, well, that's because he's dating somebody else that he's more into and he keeps you as a side hustle in case he needs to feel wanted.
Yeah, we're going to talk about that.
If they expect you to chase them or compete with other guys for them, they haven't done enough work to be ready for a relationship.
Yeah.
Keep it moving, and I see that dynamic over and over again.
Yeah.
You get a boy that's interested in you.
Yes. The other text message that I like, and this one you have to be genuine with and authentic. So it says, text a compliment, not physical, but something genuine, either something about his character traits or values. Like, I loved how you treated our waiter, our server. Yeah. Or the thing you said about blank really inspired me. Or when you talked about this, I found that so interesting. It's just a light compliment. They called it an emotional deposit. It shows interest and desire, but make sure it's genuine. Don't make it inauthentic or it's just not going to work. By authentic, we mean not manipulative. I'm not trying to get something from you, but something that I noticed about you that I actually liked. We started off this podcast with me noticing that you and Ty were in your room laughing.
Yeah.
It's along those same lines. Do you know what I mean? Totally, something that I noticed that moved me, that I enjoyed, and I'm telling you that.
I love that. And I love that it's not physical. We are so obsessed with how we look in our community. Mm-hmm. So it's not saying he looked a certain way or anything about his appearance that the compliment is from. I specifically like that it's emotional. I think that's great.
Yeah. Save the physical comments for after you've been in it for a while.
Yeah. I think that in the midst of us dating, we need to stop looking for perfection. There's so many people that I've met, when I scroll through my Rolodex in my brain of my perpetually single friends, they'll say things like, I'm looking for this, this, and this. The guy's, got to be beautiful and money. And we've talked about that a little bit in the soulmate episode, like narrowing your funnel so much. But I think more holistic than that idea is the idea that look for someone to emotionally connect with. You're looking for a partner, and so of course you have to be attracted to them, but try to be open to connecting to people and see what happens.
Well, sometimes, Matt, I think people think they can't find that deep, connected love experience. So they decide that they want all these other things. I want beauty, I want money, adventure, whatever it might be, not realizing that they actually can have a person who they really, really can connect to at the heart level, that they don't need those other things. I'd rather marry ugly than an asshole.
Exactly. Yes. Or last week when Alicia said, I meet with couples who they maybe met, or like one of them say they met their partner and they weren't sure if they were super attracted to him, and they got to know him and they were gorgeous to them.
Yes.
You know, I mean, I think that you need to pay attention to that. That's because you have connected so deeply with this person that trumps a lot of things, and it can just change your whole perception of that person because you were open to connecting first and not them meeting this checklist of expectations that are crazy.
And don't get it twisted. I don't care if you're 30 and they're listening to this. One day we're all going to be old ladies.
I tell you what,
you know, and it's not going to be cute. And we're going to be telling each other we're cute when we're not.
When we're not.
That's because we love each other at that point. What did she call it? Last week, Alicia called it something illusion.
Yeah. Love illusion.
Love illusion. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
But then conversely, when you do find someone you're nuts about, one other thing I want to mention is infatuation is a wild, powerful thing. Don't let the high of being infatuated with someone make you idealize them or make you gloss over your non-negotiables. So there's two extremes there. Someone you're crazy into and you're going to go off the deep end, or someone you might need to put your back into getting to know. Like, you really got to watch for those extremes.
Yeah. Okay.
I had a boy that I met kind of halfway through my experience that I was so attracted to. I just really wasn't making good decisions. I knew in my gut that he wasn't my person, but I thought he looked like Superman. And I was like, okay, me and Superman going to go out for a little while because I want to have a good time with this boy, you know?
Yeah.
And I was kind of forcing something to work, and it wasn't good. That's the gentleman that actually slammed my door when we broke up and broke the glass. So that was a perfect metaphor for the entire experience, because I was infatuated with him and not paying attention to my non-negotiables, the type of person that I wanted. Yeah. I was wasting time with him.
And all it took was one door slam. See, there's something about that, Matt, because I think a lot of people will put up with that shit. Somebody slammed the door and they're like, well, he was angry. And early on, if this is what you're showing me, date 3, honey, no. Goodbye.
No.
Yeah.
No, if they're that immature, that's going to rear its ugly head hard when you're actually in a relationship with them.
We just got to do better. We know what to do. And a lot of times we just don't obey our hearts on that.
What do we think about sex and dating?
Listen, I don't think every date needs to be a hookup, you know, and I
absolutely.
I think we can take things slow, engage your date respectfully, ask about their life, get to know them, and take things slow. If you're looking for somebody for the long haul, don't make every date a hookup. Find out about them, ask them questions, be interested in their story, treat them like a lady, and don't be an asshole, but learn how to play the long game.
Absolutely. Now, this is going to be unpopular for a lot of our listeners, but I'm telling you what.
Well, and I'm not saying wait a year.
I'm not either.
Because I mean,
listen, let me clarify.
I wasn't a first date person. I wasn't.
For sure.
Not always.
Listen, I think if you were trying to genuinely get to know someone and you identify someone as relationship material, I think you need to go on a couple dates before you sleep with them. I really do. Because the minute you introduce sex into the relationship, the getting to know each other slows down a little bit. Yeah. Inevitably.
Yeah, because then you get to touch each other, not get to know each other.
You know, exactly. Yeah. And I think that if you are building something, you said the long game, that's going to last, I really think you need to take that seriously, getting to know the person.
Matt, I read a statistic that was talking about how the 20-somethings are kind of going back to not having sex on first dates.
Well, good for that. The children are learning. I love that.
I kind of did too. I know I read it and I was like, huh. Now, of course, some of them are, but I thought this was interesting that some are like, no, I'd like to get to know you first. Yeah. Now, those 30-somethings are still whores and hookers.
Oh, yes.
But not the 20-somethings. The 20-somethings are more well-behaved than we are these days.
Wow. Inspiring.
Yeah. And you ain't got to wait forever.
No, we're not prudes, honey, but just take a beat. Get to know them first.
Well, especially if that's been your MO, is hopping in the bed with every Dom, Dick, and Harry.
With every... Oh, gosh. And all of this is a lot of work, and you might get tired. And if you need a break, take a break, refresh yourself, rejuvenate yourself with your friends, live in rivers of self-love, get refreshed and come back. But come back. Don't give up.
Yeah. I like this. The do's and don'ts of dating. Let me ask you this. What was the best piece of dating advice that you received when you were out on the dating scene?
Wow. That's a really good question. What are some things that you told me? Let me think. I don't know. I literally don't know what I would say.
I'm going to tell you a couple of the things that were important for me. And they were less about how to represent myself in dating. I knew how to treat people and how to be treated by people. One of the great ones for me was don't take it personally.
Yeah.
If they reject you, don't take it personally.
That is great advice. Yes.
It was great advice. It was helpful. As I was getting on the apps and started dating, realizing, okay, this is just kind of part of it, And then another great piece of advice was what you just said. Take a beat if you need it. Take a break from the apps. Get off of them for a weekend, get off of them for a week, get off them for a month if you need to get your head together. It's a lot of work.
Absolutely.
And it can be a lot of emotional energy, especially apps like Grindr. I'm not going to tell anybody not to be on Grindr. I personally wasn't, but I was on Scruff, which isn't much better.
I'm going to tell people not to be on Grindr, officially on record.
Well, Matt,
if you want a relationship, it's only going to be wasted energy.
There are people who found relationships out there on Grindr. I've actually heard them say I found them on Grindr. However, we know what the app was specifically designed for. And it causes psychologically lower self-esteem and exacerbates depression or causes depression. Yes. So you have to ask yourself, it doesn't mean it's impossible, but with regard to what we're talking about, there is more bad about that app than there is good about it.
Exactly.
So know that if you're getting in the Grindr game, this is what you're up against. Is that really something that you want to do? Seems like a lot.
It is a lot. And I tell you what, I think what you just said, it was a big thing for me on Grindr. I could not believe how viciously people treated each other on that app and, shots at your self-esteem. It's rough. Statistically, you're just lowering your chances of finding somebody if that's one of your primary apps. That's all.
Well, and this bullshit about we just need to be nicer on there. Okay, listen, I'm not feeling a calling to help make Grindr a better place. You know what I mean? I'm not doing Grindr. I'm going to go with some of these other ones that are more relationship focused or were designed for relationship focused, knowing people can take advantage of it and spoil them. But Grindr is like, we are built to grind. We named it Grindr, which means I'm grinding on somebody. Sex. Right.
Quickly and only one time. Bye.
Yes.
Yep. What I said at the beginning of the podcast is probably the thing that really saved my bacon is I tried to enjoy it. Maybe a little bit easier for me because I am a little bit more extroverted, but enjoy meeting new people. I also thought it was really fun, the excitement of who am I going to meet? Who am I going to, if I'm putting my back into this process, I'm eventually going to meet inevitably a nice boy that I really like. That's going to be a lot of fun. I wonder where he is. Maybe it's tonight. Maybe it's not. If it's not tonight, I'll keep looking. But I'm going to enjoy the process,
Yeah. And well, for our listeners who are less confident than you are, I would say some people really go into it. And the nervousness comes from the feeling of, I hope that somebody finds me worthy.
Yeah.
Or I think if this works out, it means that I'm okay. But we have to know going in, we have to be able to really believe that without this working, without a relationship, I'm whole.
Absolutely.
I'm already a whole person.
Preach
So when I go into this, if it doesn't work out, I'm not going to fall apart. It can be hard, but I have to come back to that place where I know that who I am is already enough.
Yes. You alone can fill the broken places with self-love.
That can be tough. That can be tough. Yeah. Because you think, when's it going to happen for me? We don't have an answer for that.
Yeah.
But we just keep trying.
But we keep trying.
Yeah. If it's what we desire, we can find it. We can find it.
As lovely as our boys are, we wouldn't trade them for the world. They do not complete us.
No, they don't. No, they don't. It feels like it, though, sometimes, doesn't it?
Well, sometimes just a little bit, yeah.
Because we're in love. That's okay.
And that's why you want to put your back into this process. Because if you fall in love with a nice boy that's a good pair, I'll tell you what, you're in for a good time. You don't want to miss it.
Yeah.
But it comes to those who do their work, doesn't it, darling?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And we're going to keep working at this.
Keep working.
I'm like a televangelist up in here. I can feel you out there right now, doubting yourself, not believing in yourself, thinking there will never be another man for you. But that is not true. Reach out your hand and touch the screen right now. That's what I feel like.
I love it. Manifest yourself, that beautiful man. He's on his way.
And he may not be that beautiful.
He may not.
I'm just saying.
But he'll be yours and he'll be beautiful to you. And that's all
Absolutely.
you need. Absolutely.
Right. Mm-hmm. Right. Yes, although my man is beautiful. I'm going to shut my face because he's gorgeous. All right, let's do the recap and then we'll have a prayer time.
Oh, I love it. So recap, get on relationship-oriented apps. Go into it with low expectations. Mm-hmm. Enjoy yourself. When you make connection off the app and actually talk to the person, schedule the first date no later than a week away. And when you go into the date, be groomed, fresh, gorgeous. Show the boy that you put some effort into it and you're excited to get to know him and meet him.
Hold the door.
Be a gentleman. Treat him like a lady.
Yes. Have questions at the ready, right?
Absolutely. Questions that draw him out, that are designed to get to know the person. Go Dutch treat. Just because you're daddy doesn't mean you have to pay. Go Dutch treat the first time.
100. Yes.
In this entire process, know that you're whole. This person's not going to complete you. Know that you're a juicy, delicious peach, but not everybody likes peaches. So don't take rejection personally. Just keep it moving. Keep looking for your boy because he's out there.
And follow up. Respectfully follow up. If you enjoyed this, make sure that you let them know by throwing out a compliment or two that is authentic. I really enjoyed this evening. I'd like to see you again. When you said this or did this, I really liked that. And if you're not interested, don't ghost. You can give a rejection with integrity.
Boom.
You know, I really appreciated our time tonight. This doesn't feel like a romantic connection to me, but I'm wishing you well.
Beautiful. Love it. And if you get tired, give yourself a break, but come back.
Yeah.
He's out there.
Yeah. All right. You ready for prayer time?
Dr. Reverend, do you have a prayer for us this week? I loved last week's. Give me another one.
Okay. This is a prayer I call Keep It Simple. And it goes like this. I just don't get it, Matt. First, he says he's interested. Then he says he's not, but really enjoys being around me. Now he's changed his mind again and wants to date, but isn't interested in being exclusive. And he keeps asking me for advice about his other dating relationships. I'm so confused. Well, yes, you should be. Finding a gay man is complicated enough. Dating doesn't have to be. So keep it simple. Listen to yourself. If a person is making you crazy now, they will always make you crazy. So split, kitten. Goodbye to them. It means they're not right for you. For some, this kind of game playing is right up their alley. It wasn't for me. They like the drama. I hated it. But he's cute. It'll wear off. His ass, though. He's an ass, though. He's a good guy. He's a child who doesn't know what he wants. How long must we keep having this conversation? If two complicated people want to partner up and complicate the world together, great. Sounds tedious, but we're not here for mind games. This isn't our romantic dream. We aren't here to be confused, passively aggressed, or strung along. And we must stop thinking this sort of fucked up experience is our only option, because it isn't. Find someone who is available. If they aren't, or if they're waffling on how they feel about you, move it along. And I mean, move it the fuck along before you get sucked into their cuteness and lose 3 years of your life. Available? Yes. Unavailable or unwilling to clearly articulate their availability? Say it with me, Matt. No. Keep
Hallelujah.
it simple. Hallelujah and amen.
Love it.
Yeah, that's the way it should be. That right there is how it needs to be. We're worthy. We're worthy of love. We're worthy of somebody who sees us and wants to be with us.
Beautiful.
I think
it's been a pleasure.
It has been a pleasure. So I think we're going to end with our new tagline.
Live in rivers of self-love.
I love that. It makes me happy. I'm going to live in rivers of self-love, and we hope that you will too.
Amen.
1, 2, 3, 4.
That's it for us today. For more bitchy wisdom, follow How to Find and Keep a Gay Man on Instagram and TikTok at, you guessed it, How to Find and Keep a Gay Man. And until we meet again, get a therapist, don't be an asshole, protect yourself, call your mom, and remember that you deserve a meaningful love. Bye.